Good afternoon. Thank you so much for staying with us right here on Women Radio WFM 91.7. This is 5 minutes after 12. On the side of the radio, it's a Saturday, the 9th day in the month of December 2023. All right, so I hope that your weekend is going on well. The Saturday is good for you. You are resting, but if you happen to go to one bed today, lucky you because free rice. But somebody says it's not free now because you need to pay transport to go there, Abby. Well, it's all good. It's good to celebrate with your loved ones. All right, so yes, this is Women Radio WFM 91.7, Nigeria's first radio station for women and their families. And today is day 14. Did I say? Yeah, day 15. I beg your pardon. Day 15 of the 16 days of activism. See, we're already at the end of it. When did we start? Day 1 from the day 16 on 25th of November. See how time flies. This is already day 15. I mean, come on, time is really flying and we just have to keep up with it. All right, so today is day 15 of the 16 days of activism. So by tomorrow we'll be wrapping this up. And of course, the 16 days of activism came with the theme Unite, Invest to Prevent Violence Against Women and Girls. The 16 days of activism is a global campaign which started up on the 25th of November that's the International Day of the Elimination of Violence Against Women, and it has been running up until tomorrow, which is going to be the 10th of December 2023, the Human Rights Day. My name is Rose Yusuf Kaiser, and I welcome you once again to a Responder's Story right here on Women Radio WFM 91.7. Okay, all right. So this year, Women Radio 91.7 is spotlighting first responders who provide first-hand help and support to survivors of sexual and gender-based violence. All right, so do want to join the conversation by contributing or reacting to the program. Call us on 07000 917 917. Send a text or a WhatsApp message to 070 317 56537. Our social media platforms are there for you to send your contributions. Facebook, Instagram, X, and of course YouTube at WFM917. You can log on to our website www.wfm917.com. Download our mobile app WFM917. You get to listen to us from any part of the world. All right, so today on day 15 of the 16 days of activism, we'll be discussing the first responder story, work done so far, success, challenges, and way forward in ending violence against women and girls. All right, so we'll just go ahead and meet our first responder for today, and he is the executive director of Spring Center. This afternoon we have Adedamola Lakpite with us right here. Joining us virtually. Well, he's still here with us. Good afternoon, Adedamola. How are you today?
Good afternoon, presenter. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure being here with you.
All right. I hope that the weekend is going on well for you.
Well, it's going on pretty smoothly, thank God.
All right. So thank you so much for joining us today. So we'll just go ahead and start off the conversation this afternoon by you telling us how you have been responding to gender-based violence so far, as an organization, especially, at the locality where your organization is or where you are based.
Okay, thank you very much. The Spring Center is basically a sexual assault referral center. So what we do is we give free medical, social, psychosocial, and psychological and legal support to survivors of sexual violence especially. Those are the people we give free support to. But because basically in our states there's not many organizations into domestic violence, we are also forced to attend to quite a number of them as they come before us.
Okay. All right, thank you very much for that. Now let's take a look at, or rather, let's hear your experience. What has your experience been so far in dealing with survivors of gender-based violence? What are some of the common perceptions and the facts that, you have actually gone through or seen that you would want to share with us today as per your experience?
Okay, so taking a look at our experience, looking back, it's really been topsy-turvy. It's never a straightforward thing, especially with survivors of sexual violence, especially domestic violence in general. You never expect the same thing to come from different people. It's not something that you already have a prepared answer for. So you never know what your response will be at all times. People just assume, part of the perceptions is that people assume that it's just, when it comes to rape, it's just rape. There's nothing to it. You get better. You just get over it. Survivors of sexual violence never get over it like that. It lingers on, and the slightest mismanagement of such cases, you will be re-traumatizing such survivors. So they're always very delicate, not like people assume that there's nothing. It's just a physical thing. It's never a physical thing. Sexual violence is never just a physical thing. It goes way beyond physical. And sometimes for us as responders, we are forced to step back for our own sanity too, because you just keep taking a lot in. You keep taking a lot in, and as responders, they must not read your reaction. They must not see your own panic when some of these things come in, because they're looking at you, and the moment you panic, they look at you that, what have you heard? I've just given you a tip of the iceberg, and you're already like this. You're already scattered. So there's a lot that is bottled in, and also for victims of domestic violence generally, because in our society, I say it a lot of times, we are violence apologists. That's why most times when people report things, you see that a lot of us as Nigerians, rather than sympathize with the survivors, we rather explain away what has happened to them, and to some extent defend or support the perpetrators. And it's a bad omen for those who are survivors, because they feel they are not believed. They feel that, it's always my fault. And that is a wrong perception. It is never their fault. Sometimes I have had cause to ask some perpetrators of violence, especially domestic violence. I ask them, when you feel that your spouse or whoever you are exerting your power on, whenever you feel that they are frustrating you, because that's what they say, that the person frustrates me, the person just does things that annoys me. And I ask them, you meet uniformed men in the roads, members of the Nigerian army or the police. Don't they annoy you? Some of them would annoy you the way they would talk to you on the road. Why not go mad and start beating them? Or why not go to Agberos at the garage and say, oh, they annoyed me, so I'm pulling up my shirts and getting into a fisticuff with them? No, because your senses will tell you that this is death. So it means that you can control whatever anger you say you have.
Yeah.
But you feel that, oh, I have power over this one and nobody's going to ask me questions, so I can misbehave here. It is not something that can be controlled. It is something that they choose because they have power.
All right, thank you very much for that. It is something they choose because they have power. This is definitely important for us to note, because I like the example you gave. That's okay. You see people on the street every day, you meet different kinds of people and they annoy you. So why is it that you can't actually beat them up because they annoy you? But you will come back home on one innocent individual that stays with you from morning till night, 247, and you want to bring up all of that anger.
Your power on the person.
Come on. All right, thank you very much, Adedamola, for that. This is Women Radio WFM 91.7, and this is the 16 days of activism, a first responder story, and today is our day 15. My name is Rose Yusuf Kaiser, and I have the executive director of the Spring Center with us, and it is the Sexual Assault Referral Center. All right, and I have his name is Adedamola Lakpite, and of course we are looking at his own experience so far, and you sharing with us how it has been for them so far, and their experiences, challenges, and all. So let's look at the challenges right now, because you have just shared your experience. Now the challenges can be overwhelming, we know, especially with lack of adequate funds, and very importantly, societal norms that have existed for so long. Sometimes when something has existed for so long, before you can start to change that, it would take a long process because of how long people have actually stayed with that kind of mindset. So how have you been able to overcome these challenges so far, in your journey, and as a first responder organization?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that question, because I can't say we have overcome it, because those challenges keep coming. The first, like you said, the society believes or defends the perpetrators more than the survivor. So when you have a case and you report at the police station and you find 10 people there, most likely 8 of the 10 people there are there in support of the perpetrator. So the remaining 2 there are just for the survivor. It's a huge task. You find a lot of people defending this evil, and it affects the survivors more, and so it gives us harder work to do, to show the survivors that we believe in you, we support you. And how have we been able to fare? We have over 70 volunteers cutting across several professions. They are our strong point in the Spring Center. They bring in all their energy and everything to support survivors. They are there standing by survivors, telling them we believe in you. We will go all out with you. You understand? Sometimes all these people need is someone standing by them, showing them that we are with you, we believe you, you are worth it, you are not the cause of what has happened to you. So we, in some ways, have been trying to use our volunteers to work support-based for survivors, and it has really helped us. To a large extent, it has really helped us. It's a way that we have also used to reduce cost of a lot of things, because the fact is, you want cases to move in Nigeria, you report cases to the police or all the security agencies, you probably would have to fund it. And so whenever we have cases, we as the center, we also have to fund the investigation and the arraignment in court. That normally should not be part of our objectives, but we're left with nothing else but to do that, or else the cases would die natural deaths. But when you have a strong support base, a lot of things just work smoothly, and you just find yourself having records of successes and all that. But like I said earlier, we still have these challenges we have not overcome. We hope that we'll be able to overcome.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I'm joining my hope with yours too. That you'll be able to overcome all of this, and by next year, when we're looking at 16 days of activism, it will be better. It will be better. All right. So let's take a look at awareness now. How have you been able to create awareness in your immediate community and even beyond on gender-based violence? Because I think when you're able to create more awareness, to a very large extent, it should actually help to bring down some of these cases you get to deal with. You know what they say about prevention, and awareness, should be a form of prevention for this. So let's get how far with, awareness.
Okay, so for us in the Spring Center, we have the campaigns and awareness department.
Okay.
And so every quarter we have what we call the D2D. That's what we call the door-to-door campaign. So in Ogun State, we'll pick a particular environment, we'll go en masse, with our volunteers and so many support organizations that work with us.
Yeah.
And we print flyers, we go to communities, markets, churches, schools. We go there and we disseminate information, we talk to them. It lasts for a whole day. And we do that every quarter. That's the door to door. But aside that, we also have invitations. We have invitations to schools and churches and mosques and some organizations, maybe like community development associations and all that. They invite us, and we go there to also talk to them about it. And you know what? We've done something like in every area where our volunteers stay.
Yeah.
We've done it in such a way that they themselves must, on their own, carry out campaigns even without us. So we have a WhatsApp group for our volunteers. Whatever you do in your own domains, send it in, let us know what you've done.
Okay.
So we go about teaching, and we get involved in teaching even security agencies and teachers. We get involved with the Child Protection Network. We use several platforms to do the campaigns and teach them about the problems that this will bring and how to prevent all those things. So we do that a lot.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. This is Women Radio WFM 91.7, 21 minutes after 12, right here on the day 15 of the 16 days of activism, and we are looking at the first responder story. All right, so do well to dial the number 07000 917 Send us a text or a WhatsApp message to 070 317 56537. All right, so we've actually talked a lot, about challenges. We've talked about your experience. We've also talked about, creating awareness. So I like that you mentioned, a little bit about collaboration, but let's dwell on that for a few minutes. Now, as an organization, how have you collaborated with security agencies, other responders, and stakeholders to provide support for survivors of gender-based violence? And since we started this program, there's something I would always tell our first responders, that only you cannot get to achieve so much. But once we all come together, we join hands together, we join resources together, then we'll be able to reach more. So, tell me about collaboration so far with security agencies, first responders, and stakeholders too, in this fight with survivors.
Thank you. So definitely, like you said, we can't do it alone. There are a lot of services that victims of SGBV would require that we don't provide.
Yeah.
Let me give you an instance. We don't have shelters, and oftentimes some of these survivors must be put to a shelter for their protection. So for us, we have quite a number of organizations that we partner with. We have the State Ministry of Women Affairs. They have like a shelter that we use. We have women advocacy and documentation called Ward C. We work with them for shelter also. We have Rays of Hope. Now, they are scattered all over the state, so it depends on where our survivors are coming from. So from Ijebu, we have Rays of Hope. We work with them for shelter. We have Omo George, which is in Shagam area. We work with them for shelter also, and Ward C is in Abeokuta here. We have quite a number of. We work with Federal Medical Center because sometimes we have survivors who probably have tested positive to HIV. So we work with the Community Health Department for HIV treatment. We have quite a number of organizations, and sometimes we need material support. So let me give you an example. We had the case of an 11-year-old girl that was raped and she got pregnant, and we discovered when she was about 7 months gone. Okay, so that was when the report was lodged, and we took a look and all that. Now we needed support with materials and also for the birth period and for the child and all that. So we had another organization that's Blooming Hope that came in, and they gave support when it comes to material stuffs and all that. They were the ones that went to raise funds to bring material stuffs and help throughout. So we couldn't have done all these things without the support of all these organizations. And for the police, for the for civil defense, we need them. Even if we do all our own part, if we don't have the police to hand over to, then we haven't done anything. It's nothing. So notwithstanding that they are poorly funded, but they still do their work to some extent. And we try as much as possible to maintain cordial relationships with them. It's not as if we don't fight, of course, we fight a lot. But we try to maintain the cordiality so that we can have things moving and we can have adequate support for our survivors.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. So, just as we wrap this conversation up, now let's get your recommendations, because all these people, or rather this the set of people that I'm going to ask for your recommendation, I believe are all stakeholders when it comes to providing support for survivors of gender-based violence. Now, just get your recommendations for the government, society, religious leaders, parents, and then the women and girls, themselves. What are your recommendations for these different groups of people that, I would love to call all of them as part of stakeholders when it comes to support for survivors of gender-based violence?
Okay, so let's pick them one by one.
Okay.
My advice to the government is stop just paying lip service. A lot of our governments, whether at the federal or the state level or the local government level, pay so much of lip service to, we're fighting gender-based violence. It's not when you're talking that you're fighting gender-based violence. It is what you do when this violence occurs that would make us know that you're fighting it. How many states are actually fighting it? I'm not saying how many states are talking about it. How many states are actually fighting it? Imagine a lot of organizations, a lot of CSOs pull out from this fight. You see that the government is paying lip service to it. So for me, for the government, my advice is don't pay lip service to it. Ensure that you are actually standing against it. Once the government takes a proper stand, people would realize that they shouldn't get involved in it. I keep saying it several times that in Nigeria, we do not have a problem with laws. We only have a problem with implementation. Of the laws. So let the government implement the laws against sexual and gender-based violence, and a lot of things would fall into place. For the society, we should stop being apologists of violence. We should stop being apologists. If cases occur now, go on Twitter, go on Facebook, and let someone report sexual violence, rape, or domestic violence. You see that majority of people, our society, even to the top, they blame the person. That's when you start hearing, what were you wearing? Why would you go to this place with the person? And all that. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense until we change our orientation as a society. These things would continue. It is not just by mouth, it is by action. A lot of people would say all sorts of rubbish, but the question you ask them is, if it happened to your family, what would you say? If it happened to your daughter or your son, because these things happen to boys also.
Yeah.
You see their reaction. But the society needs to get away from being apologists of violence as it is. And for the parents, as you asked, a lot of us are in a sleeping state. A lot of parents are in a sleeping state. So a lot of things are happening. A lot of parents have led over parenting to house helps, to televisions, to the school. And so a lot of things are happening and they don't know until it's too late. Parents need to wake up, and that has always been my message anytime we go to have meetings at PTAs and churches and all that. Wake up from your slumber. Things are happening. The society is trying to fast right on the hearts of your children, and you are wasting time. Wake up. That is my advice to parents. And to survivors themselves, my advice is that it is never your fault. My own is that it's never your fault. All you need to do is don't let what has happened to you bring you down. There's so much inside of you that can still be accomplished. Don't let these things that you have experienced bring you down. Wake up and keep moving. You can still make it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being a part of our program today and taking us through your experience so far. Let's get your final words on all of what was discussed. By next year, 16 days of activism, what would you want to see happening much more better than what is going on right now? What's your final, words for all we've discussed today?
Thank you. I'm hoping that at some point, discussion about SGBV would no longer be about just discussions and asking what can we do. We would have actually done a lot, and we would just be doing the statistics on how were we able to draw it down to this minimal level. We've done a lot of talking about it.
Yeah.
We should now be doing a lot of evaluation on how successful we have been. Right now, I don't think we can talk about successes. We're still talking about struggles. We should get to a stage, and that's what I'm praying and hoping, that subsequent years we'll be talking about grand successes in the fight. And at that point in time, even the apologists of rape and all sorts of violence would not have the courage to speak it out openly as they do now. That's my hope and my prayer.
Amen. I join my faith with yours too. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being a part of our program today as our first responder. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Do have a great weekend ahead. Enjoy the rest of the weekend and have a blessed week. Compliment of the season.
Same to you. Thank you very much. Have a lovely weekend.
All right, thank you too. So that's our first responder for today, and that's where we'll draw the curtains for today. All right, on our first responder story. All right, and today we had the executive director of Spring Center, a sexual assault referral center, and he's by name Adedamola Lakpite, and of course he has told us his experiences so far and what he hopes to happen before next year. So tomorrow is another day, the last day, for the 16 days of activism. So let's go ahead, and I just hope that we're learning a lot as we keep going on these days. So a very big thank you to the producer of the program, Esther Laribe, and the executive producer, Toro Kerolishona. Join us again tomorrow at 12:05 p.m. as we bring you another first responder to tell a story. My name is Rose Yusuf Kaiser. Good afternoon.
WFM 91.7.